Good morning, community. How are you? Jenenne Macklin here, transformational speaker, wealth guide, and catalyst. On my morning walk and hike. Wanted to hop on here right quick though. I realize that election day is next week because election day is my birthday. So I get to share it with all the excitement of the world. Isn't that wonderful? And I want to specifically kind of talk about voting. This won't apply to all of you. But I was reading a book actually that stays in our living room. It was my son's book for his English class last year, and we have just continued to read and pull certain pieces out of it. Hey, Phoenix Rising. Hi, Ann Roberts. And I think sometimes people look at black folks and they wonder, why do they look like that? Or why do they dress like that? Or why do they act like that? And don't worry, I do too. I look at us like, what are we doing? But of course, mine is from a different perspective. So I thought I would tackle voting. Good morning, sir. I thought I'd give some light and shed some light on the significance of it. And of course, I pulled up my book, and I encourage you, if there's any book you want to read to understand the relationship that America has with black folks, you want to get The Miseducation of the Negro. When we talk about it being systematic and systemic, that's where it starts, is with the miseducation. So you have to set the scene, okay? People minding their own business in a country called Africa, doing what they do, fussing, fighting, living, loving, cropping, taking care of the kids, the family, teaching their own principles, teaching their own lives, teaching what their ancestors have taught them, teaching them how to live on the land, how to care for the land, how to take care of the families, for the women to be supported. Then someone comes on a ship from another country, slaughters, kills you, threatens you, and says either you do it our way or we kill you. And some people die. Some's like, well, kill me. Some fought. You have to remember, black folks did fight back then. They did say no. There were people that rose up. There were free slaves who ran away. Take you, chain you, beat you, murder you, rape you, put you on a ship. Take you from your land to another land. And then when you get to that land, what then happens is what we all call and know an indoctrination. And the indoctrination wasn't to their culture. They had just left their culture. They had just been ripped from their culture. The indoctrination was to this new culture. So you're beaten, you're sleeping in feces on a boat, you barely have food, you see your friends jumping over because they're like, hey, I'd rather just take the ocean and know that Yemaya will take care of me instead of going through this. The rest of you stay on the boat, beaten, sexualized, excrements everywhere. You end up somewhere chained, you're naked, people's looking at your body, people are really looking at your body and who you are and what you can do and how you look like a horse and you could be a workhorse. But one of the indoctrinations that people haven't paid much attention to was politics. How early on, slaves were told, and even as they became free, oh, you don't have to worry about politics. Politics doesn't involve you. Just, take care of our kids, be the mammies for us, be the whores for the men who want to sleep with women or rape women. And that's all we need from you. Because we're going to use you up, pick the cotton, do the work, do the cooking and everything. So this was the premise though, and I was reading it today. Yeah, I'm walking with a book, imagine that. The premise says, in like manner, the teaching of history in the Negro area has had its political significance as well. It says, it was well understood that if by teaching a history, the white man could be further assured of his superiority, and the Negro could be made to feel that he had always been a failure, and that the subjection of his will to other race is necessary, the freedman, interesting, then would still be a slave. Here's the key part though. If you can control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. If you can control a man's thinking, you already want him to think he's a failure. You do not have to worry about his actions. When you determine what a man shall think, you do not have to be concerned You do not have to concern yourself about what he will do. If you make a man feel that he is inferior, you do not have to compel him to accept an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. If you make a man think that he is justly an outcast, you do not have to order him to the back door. He will go without being told. And if there is no back door, what happens? His very nature will demand one. And that's the teaching, that's the indoctrination that enslaved people were given. And that's the teaching and that's the indoctrination that enslaved people then went on to live, believe, and teach their children and pass on down. So that for so many years, black folks didn't vote. It's like, well, it's not going to matter. They don't care about us. And it is true. It probably may not matter because they don't care about us. However, it doesn't mean you give them free carte blanche not to vote. So it's that indoctrination. I tell you, this is an incredible book. If you want to know anything about how it got to where it is, what was written in and what was excluded, you need to understand the miseducation of the Negro. Because that's the miseducation that's been passed down from generation to generation. And gradually it's shifting and gradually, there are books being printed to say, no, we were inventors, we were creators, we were writers, we were authors, we were scholars, all of that. But by now, trying to say that, most people don't want to believe it because it's like, oh, no, you guys are just deadbeats. You guys just want handouts. Because that's the intention and the teaching and the doggone indoctrination. So, here's the thing. You all need to vote. Serious. Bottom line. You need to vote. I don't care who you vote for. I really don't. They both have certain issues with me. You've heard me say it before. But you have to vote. It's your right, if it's for no other reason. You may not necessarily like the people who are running. You may not necessarily want to consider any of them. But nonetheless, you still have to vote. That's what you're here to do. It's to vote. You saw, what was it that Oprah was in? And she had to tried to go and vote, and they kept asking her questions and turning her away, kept asking her questions and turning her away. No matter what she did, no matter how many times she asked her questions, I think they asked her to repeat the Constitution in order to vote. These are all the hoops and jump through. The hoops to get the same rights that everybody else had. Well, here's the thing. Now you have them. Now you have them. And yeah, you may not always like the options, but quite frankly, I don't know what president has done anything specifically for the black race. We tried to do affirmative action. They turned that around and said, oh, no, you're just hiring dummies, as opposed to, no, we're hiring educated people who don't have as many options. So everything that seems to uplift black folks is always shot down. So affirmative action got kicked out. I remember growing up as Proposition, I think 13, but that was for us to have after-school programs and things like that. That got kicked out. So there really hasn't been a whole lot specific to black people. It doesn't change the fact that you still get to vote and that you have to exercise that political right that you do have. See, it'd be one thing if you didn't have it, then we'd be complaining, oh, we can't vote. We can't vote. Now you do have it, but you still have to fight for it. The last election, I specifically remember in Atlanta, they did not have enough polling booths. So people couldn't even stand in front of the doggone machine and vote. There weren't enough. They found them somewhere thrown away. So sometimes when you're looking at us and you're wondering what we're doing, or when we look at ourselves and we wonder what we're doing, it's the indoctrination. And that indoctrination is so systemic and systematic that I don't even know how we would get away from it, except for to begin to have these conversations. And hopefully they'll move us closer and closer to the reality that we're one. There's one color blood running through all our veins. I think that's the way the universe wanted us to realize we were always connected. That somebody doesn't have green blood or white blood or red blood or black folks got black blood. No, the universe said, let me make it real clear to you. But it might go over your head because it is so clear and so simple. There's one power, one presence, breathing everybody's breath, beating everybody's heart. There's one color of blood that runs through all of us. Cut somebody's blood in California, cut somebody's blood in Indonesia, cut somebody's blood in Madagascar, it's going to be the same color. Nothing changes that.
Morning. Morning.
That's to say, you guys are united. You guys are connected. But no, we so caught up in whatever, we don't even want to believe that. We're some interesting species. So don't think that black folks got here on their own. Please don't think that black folks are stupid. Black folks are, lazy. All that's part of the indoctrination. And you have to give America credit because it's been good at it. It's been so good at it. It's in all the books. It's in everything you read. It's all still underlying the news. That's why I don't look at the news. If you pay attention to the news underneath what they're saying and the hidden messages, they're still saying the same thing. I watched, excuse me, I don't know why I'm turning that way. I'm turning right into your ear, huh? I watched as the commercials changed. When I was growing up, first they were all white. Then gradually they included black folks. Then they slowly included Latinos. And we had our families. But have you watched commercials now? I watch them every time I look at them to pay attention. I saw a biracial couple yesterday, a black girl with a white guy. Another one was a black girl with an Asian guy. I'm like, oh, what's the message you're sending now from the media? I waited all day to see a black family, a full black family, on a commercial. I saw it once. So that's why I'm always telling you, be mindful of what you see on TV. You can't believe everything. The indoctrination is still happening. The indoctrination is still happening. It's still being done, but subtly. You voted yesterday, C. Thompson. How was it for you? Hi, Eric Johnson. Hi, Kathleen. You know there are going to be lines. I call it 6 degrees of separation, but it's social distancing. So don't get there and see lines and say, oh my God, we can't be all up on each other like we were 4 years ago. Somebody right behind me breathing down my neck. And quite frankly, I enjoy it for the grocery store because there's just too many people in that line at the grocery store. Here you are at the cashier register, and you got one person here, one person here, everybody breathing down your breath like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. I like the distancing. Take your food, take your water, take a book, take your iPods to listen to music, but come prepared to vote. It's not come prepared, just be there and go. You're going to be there for a while. I've seen lines in every single state. So just know that. Now for us, we have been impacted by the post office and whatever that man not in charge said. I only know that it was partially true because for a while I didn't get any mail. And then 2 weeks later, I got an avalanche of mail. And I thought, were you guys really holding up the mail? Actually, something from Washington actually trickled down to my post office. So I don't trust the post office. Then I was waiting for my usual polling post to open up. And I said, well, I'll take it over to the church. Only to realize that now it has really moved to like the school auditoriums because they need more space. So I will either take it to one of those places, but then I thought, how am I going to even walk in? The lines are already going to be long. So if they don't accommodate us specifically who are going to be dropping off the ballots, then I have to stand in line. Or you know what? I can get in my car and drive to the county register and give it directly to the registrar's office. The magic for me, the splendor for me, is that people are off from work. You don't have to worry about it. Took you 2 hours, see? Okay, she had 2 hours. People are off from work. It doesn't get any better than that. Then people are off from work. Now, from the traffic I saw coming from LA a couple of days ago, I'm not sure. It was so much traffic, I thought, well, everybody must be back out again. But those issues we used to have when we were working and how could you get off work to vote and why don't they have buses that are free that day so people can vote, those issues have been eliminated. There's nothing to stop it. And people started voting 2 weeks ago, which is new for me. I always voted on the day, only thought about the day, and only thought you could vote on the day. I realize now people have been voting for 2 weeks. So there's no reason now to get to the end and say, oh my God, because now we're at Wednesday. We have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We have 6 days. You could have voted 2 weeks ago. So if you have to stand in line, take your water, take your food, take a good book, take your patience. Don't be in line arguing with people. Don't be trying to convince somebody that they need to vote for this or vote for that. That's why they told us what you don't talk about politics, you don't talk about religion, you don't talk about money. Well, I got a problem with the money part as it relates to women. But know that. Gird yourself for the process of voting. Gird yourself for having to stand a long time and not get agitated and frustrated with the process. It only happens every so many years at this level. At this level. So when you're looking and you're wondering, about black people. We are continuously evolving and continuously growing, because you have to remember, someone came to our country and took our ancestors and enslaved them and then indoctrinated them and then sent them into the world, and they came into the world with that white person's indoctrination. Whatever they had learned from the villages, whatever they had learned from their living experiences was pushed down. They were killed for it. They were ripped from their families. Men were ripped from their families. Their wives and their children were separated. When you've gone through that kind of terror, then what do? You submit. Those who fought died. Those who fought were killed. Lynched, hung. Their genitals were cut off. People want to be upset about gay sex. What am I concerned about gay folks and what men were doing back there to men during slavery? And that was white men back then. So know the whole picture when you're looking at it. Black people just aren't dumb. Black people just don't act the way they act for no reason. The indoctrination that came out of being enslaved is what they began to live from and teach their children from. It would be years later that the truth would come out, that we'd write enough, that we'd learn to read, that we'd learn to speak, to then be able to capture some of our history, which we still haven't been able to capture it. But one of the things that we do have at this point is the right to vote. And like I said, I don't care who you're voting for. I want you to vote. I want you to vote. I'm not 100% sure about either one of them. At least with the person who's not in charge, I know he's not in charge. I know what all he's trying to do, what his thinking is. Now, when it comes to Biden, I don't know. I don't know what the person not in charge has put in place that's going to take up all the time for Biden and whatever he might want to do to unravel. Because it was the same way for Barack. He had to unravel. And by the time he unraveled, the presidency was almost over with. But nonetheless, you're being called to vote. You have 6 days. You can make a difference. And if you're running around and you're looking at black folks wondering, this is the only book you need. This book is like, I think, 60 pages. It's some small writing. I need bifocal. 70 pages that'll tell you about the entire indoctrination that happened to the enslaved people that came to this land. And how that has been passed down. Oh my God. Generation after generation after generation. Just the fact that we're not in the history books. Just the fact that I had to find out from a doggone movie, Hidden Figures, that a black woman helped the astronauts get up in space. And I watched that on my TV. As a little kid, I watched that with my mom on a little black and white screen. We didn't even believe it. We didn't believe it. We figured, I remember my mom saying, she's like, they just put something in front of the screen of a picture. We didn't believe it. They didn't say that. They have not given the children of those enslaved ancestors any credit. 1619 talks about the truth of, is it 4th of July or is it 1619? So now what's happening is we're challenging the indoctrination. We're standing up and saying, that's not true. That's a lie. And we still get resistance for it. But I don't care about that, because we're going to keep talking about it. Our kids, my son is a whole piece of work. They're going to keep talking about it, these young people. He's talking about living in a socialist country and what's the difference between socialism and democracy. And they're exploring, they're asking questions, and I applaud them for that. So don't look at us and think any kind of way about us without understanding what we've been under. And then he was reading something last night in the history book where the Native Americans hired or bought slaves too. So it's like every freaking body's had a piece of us. But that's not what today's topic is about. Today's topic is about you have got to vote. 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 Be prepared. Don't complain. You already know it's going to be a long time because of the social distancing. The numbers they say are going up. This up and down, up and down. But anyway, what you're focusing on is getting your votes in, get them into the right places so you know it actually gets to the county recorder to be counted. And then don't hold your breath. Then we'll see. We will not know, the end results, although Mr. not in charge wants, I want the election votes to be called that night. Nobody calls the election that night. We know that. Between the absentee ballots and now the new systems, we may not know actually who the president is for 2 or 3 days. So we'll wait and we'll see. But this is what I do want you to know. No matter who the president is, no matter who the president is, you, and you will be fine. We will be okay. That you have to know, that you have to trust, that you have to live, that you have to believe. Trump for another 4 years, it ain't like we ain't had Trump kind of people before. They were just sneaky with it. They were quiet with it. At least he runs his mouth and you know everything he's going to do, everything he's thinking. The fact that they never shut him down from tweeting still fathoms me. Biden gets in, we'll be okay then too. Because we know how to do this. We know how to be okay with people who don't like us, who don't give us due credit, who don't make any kind of concessions for us in spite of all that's been done to us. So don't you worry. Don't you fret. Don't you be in fear. I'm not concerned about the white supremacists. We've always had white supremacists. We always have. Especially down south, they've had them. There's nothing new. You, I, me, we will be fine. Know that. Yeah, it's exhausting. Yes, it's exhausting. Every doggone time we walk out the door, it's exhausting to try and figure out who you got to look at, who's on your side, who's going to support you. If somebody was bothering you, who would come and help you? But we still do it every single day. And we're going to keep doing it because that's what we're made of. That's who America really is and America's all about. And when the exhausting gets to be too exhausting for you, take a freaking break. I keep telling you, turn off the TVs, turn off the news, turn off all the stupid reality shows, and come out here and enjoy the beauty that God's given you. Go walk at the beach. Go play with your children. Go get your energy back up. Because yes, this whole thing is exhausting. Since March, it's been exhausting, and it will probably continue to be. But nothing says that you and I cannot fill ourselves and fill our tank up, just like we fill up our tanks for our car, so that we can continue to stay in this race. Monday, I talked to you about the long game, having to run a marathon, 26 miles, and how you run it at different levels and different pace along the way. And sometimes you're jogging, and sometimes you're on your time that you've trained for, and sometimes you have to walk, and sometimes you just stop. And you catch your breath and you keep going. Well, we're in this for the long game. You got to know that. So do what you need to do. Eat your Wheaties. I used to eat Cheerios, but now at this age, I do intermittent fasting. Do whatever you need to do to keep a smile on your face, to keep you putting one foot in front of the other. But don't you worry. Don't you fret about the results from this election. I don't care what they say. We have domestic terrorists now, yeah? Okay, well, we probably had them all along. They just didn't let us know. But the terrorists are letting us know. Because now they feel like they have free reign to do that. And I don't have any problems with that. We need to stop walking around wanting everybody to be in secret. Tell me you don't like me. That's fine. You can stand right there in front of my face and tell me you don't like me. Fine, I don't care. I'm still going to do what I came to do. I don't care. They got terrorists. You're going to stupidly try and grab the governor. You're going to stupidly try and go after the leader of the Black Lives Matter. Really? There's a lot of things going on in America, but that ain't going down like that. So they're not going to stop. But you know what? We're not going to stop either. As long as we're on this planet, as long as we have a mouth, as long as we can walk, we can march, we can vote, we're not going to stop either. And why should we? We don't have to. So your vote matters. Don't tell me how long you have to stay in the line. I never voted by mail before. I did something different this year. I wasn't going to be standing in line. And I wanted to make sure my vote got in. So your most significant action between now and Tuesday is to go ahead, get in the line, start early, and vote. And then going about your life and going about your business, going about your dreams, going about your visions, going about whatever it is that you have planned for yourself in your life. This is what the Rose Bowl looks like today. I'm not sure why they all have on blue, but they must be together down there. We've got sun coming. It's going to be 89. So, as long as God continues to put breath in your body, that you can go, then you're supposed to be here. You have a purpose. You matter. What you do matters. What you say matters. And if you paid attention to what I just read to you, what you think matters. That's why the TV is so bad and so volatile, because they know it's your thinking that's going to determine your behavior. When people sit in front of that TV and take in everything that TV says, and then you go out and do something unconsciously because of the subliminal messages that are coming through the TV. No, I'm not crazy. That's the truth. When has America created anything just for fun? Come on now. Nothing. Come on now. This is still a system. It's just a bigger slave system. Anything that America's creating, it's a purpose. And it's a capitalist country, so you know the purpose at the minimum is to get you to spend and to buy. But it's also to propagate their messages, the way they see things, the way they want the world to be. So be mindful of that. You've got 6 days. 6 days. 6 days to vote. Go ahead and do what you need to do and make it happen. Take good care. Jenenne Macklin. #replay when you come back through. Let me know how you are. Let me know if you voted. Let me know how long you had to stand in line. That seems to be the new thing now. It's like, who had to stand in line the longest? Or you voted by mail already. So maybe you have your button that says, I voted. But that's what's on the ticket these days. What else is there to be focusing on? Yeah, Grant, I'm working on a challenge for women around managing debt, work, money habits, and building wealth. Yes, I am still doing my business, but at the same time, this is a priority. So I just want you to know, in case you wonder, people were enslaved. Then after they were enslaved, they were indoctrinated. If they did not agree with what they were being told to say or do, they were whipped, they were hung, they were killed. So when you're watching people kill your loved ones, of course you submit. So those were the people who then were brought over here. Those are the ancestors that we have been living from their foundation and what they went through. They gave us that indoctrination. And you know what I read, that the indoctrination is to always think that you're a failure. To always, what is it? If you can control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. TV is to control your thinking. When you determine what a man shall think, you do not have to be concern yourself about what he will do. Because if you already control what he's thinking, then you already know what he's going to do. And in some instances, it looks like nothing. It looks like being winos. It looks like standing on the corner, not having jobs and begging, when you don't realize that the systematic and systemic racism in the community doesn't allow people to have jobs. It goes on to say, if you make a man feel that he is inferior, you do not have to compel him to accept an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. If you make a man think that he is justly an outcast, you do not have to order him to the back door. He will go without being told, and if there's no back door, his very nature will demand it. So that's what we're up against as a people, because it has been passed down. That's why I do certain things I do, because of this very teaching. That's why I want to be an entrepreneur. That's why I want to go around and teach women about their money and to change the conversation that we have about money. That's why I buy first class tickets and sit in first class, because usually I'm the only black woman there to say, yeah, we can be here too. That's why I go to the hotels that I go to, and I'm primarily one of the black women there, only black women there, to say, yeah, this is where we're supposed to be too. So that's what I do in response to this, and I did it really unconsciously, because I only started reading this book recently because my son had to read it for school. So that's what you're looking at, and that's what we're up against, is that indoctrination that's still going on today. America still wants to hold that black people are less than, that black people are, listen, B, that black people aren't good enough, black people aren't smart enough, without telling the whole truth. It's a lie. So in the meantime, though, you go vote. Your vote matters. You matter. And we're going to be fine when we get to the other side of this. This will just be one hurdle when we get through the election. Then we have to get through with the vaccines and the virus and the kids in school and people returning back to work and on and on and on. Okay, B, okay. What do you want me to do? Every time I stop, the bee stops. Then I start walking, the bee comes back. Anyway, take good care. Have a great day. Let me know your comments below. Hashtag replay if you come on later. Ladies, I'm going to be coming for you with the money map challenge. We get ready to map out some of your money. Okay, B. So I'll let you know about that. But for right now, you got 6 days. Let me know what you're doing. Okay, B. Okay, what do you want me to do? Bees are friends of mine. Get your voting. Get to help people vote. If people need a ride to vote, make sure you can do that. If people are going to need water, make sure you have extra water or food for whoever may be standing in line with you. Take good care because we have 6 days. And after those 6 days, we move on into something else. Okay, I'm done. That was what I woke up with today. Because I knew in the book, he talks about, the miseducation talks about all the areas of our lives where we were miseducated. And one was around politics. And I remember how people have not wanted to vote because nobody really thinks about us, which is true. But it still doesn't mean we don't vote. But there was, it says political education neglected, professional education discouraged, loss of a vision. You need to be of service rather than for leadership. So we were indoctrinated to think we were here to serve as opposed to lead. I tell you, you cannot get a better book than this one if you really want to understand what Black folks have had to go through and the indoctrination of Black folks, our ancestors. I'm done. I'm good. Take good care. Bye for now. Hey, Kat, how you doing? You swamped? Oh, my goodness. Is that with homework? Oh my goodness. Hi, Mark. I was going to say Martha, but that's not it. I'm not going to mess up anybody's name. Take good care, y'all. I'll see you on Friday. Have a good day.